Cholesterol, we hear that term along with HDL and LDL, but how much do we really understand about it? How concerned should we be if our numbers are higher than what the norm is, and what do we do to lower it? We're going to tackle those questions and more today. We are joined by Dr. Kenneth Hilty with Cone Health Heart Care and Medical Director of Cone Health Advanced Lipid Disorders and Cardiovascular Risk Reduction Clinic. All right, so we're talking about the importance of controlling your cholesterol levels. I mean, I think we all know that we should pay attention to our cholesterol levels, but kind of give us the 101 about why we really need to be paying attention.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you having me today. So, yeah, absolutely. Cholesterol, important risk factor for reducing cardiovascular disease and stroke. Your cholesterol is not something that you can overtly feel unless your numbers are very high, and so people need to have their levels checked in order to know if their risk is low.
Yeah, it's not like something we're just going to feel like our cholesterol is in check. We actually need to have it tested. All right, so when we have it checked, let's kind of like go through what do we need to do to have that checked, and are there any other signs and symptoms that might say that we have high cholesterol?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's important just to have, a routine check with your doctor, and your doctor can order the kind of standard cholesterol tests that need to be done. This is typically just a blood test, and there are some what we call point of care tests that can look at your cholesterol. And why it's important, it certainly is, obviously it's a major risk factor for heart disease and stroke. And we also see that cholesterol can be elevated in families, right? So it's important, especially if you have a family history of heart disease or cardiovascular disease, that you know what your cholesterol is and that you actively work to keep your numbers down.
So when we have that blood screening, you mentioned that the cholesterol blood screening, is that a fasting test?
Yeah, typically we want the test to be done fasting. I mean, it could be done non-fasting, but it does affect the triglycerides, which is one of the particles that we look at. So a fasting test would be ideal. And usually that's 6 to 8 hours or early in the morning if you go and get your blood drawn.
Yeah, I always like to go to bed, not eat anything right, and then in the morning get it done first thing if I can. So it's all done.
You're a perfect patient.
All right, when you get your cholesterol screening done, the results include like all these results and numbers. How do we make sense of those numbers, and what are we looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at a total cholesterol. We try to get below 200 if you're at average risk. And then we focus a lot on the LDL cholesterol or bad cholesterol. And most studies show that the LDL tends to trend with cardiovascular risk. The lower we can get the LDL cholesterol, the lower we can reduce your risk. We also look at triglycerides and what's called HDL cholesterol, which has been traditionally kind of thought as the good cholesterol or cardioprotective cholesterol. So there's a lot of information we get from these tests. And then, it's important for us to regularly do these tests as well to make sure that our therapies, your diet, lifestyle, activity levels, all these things that can affect that are helping you to maintain you at your targets or goals.
Okay. And so when you were talking about who maybe should get the cholesterol screening done, should everybody get it done? I know there's some people who say, well, it doesn't run in my family. I don't really need to get it done.
Yeah, really, I think all adults should do that, right? Because cardiovascular disease, there's always somebody in the family that's the first person that has heart disease, right? And so I think it's important for us to really be aware of that. If your numbers are good and you're healthy, and you eat healthy, there may be no need for that. You may be at low risk and no need for any medication or treatments. But some people aren't able to control their cholesterol well with just diet and exercise alone. And for those patients, they may need help. They may need medication assistance.
And it's not just even I'm healthy or I run a lot or I eat well. That doesn't always translate. You might have high cholesterol.
Not always, right. I've seen a fair share of very healthy individuals who are, endurance athletes that have cardiovascular disease. That's not to say you shouldn't do that. It's important to stay healthy. It's important to eat healthy. But if you have genetics, particularly in your family, that puts you at a strong risk, or early onset heart disease or high cholesterol that you know of, you're at risk of inheriting that, and that could, put you at higher risk of having early onset heart disease.
So basically, everybody needs to get their cholesterol checked, plain and
At
simple.
least, yes.
Okay.